Hello, you wonderful person. Right, how to import and export timers in PB intervals. I'll show you the import and export functions first, and then go into a little bit more detail on the CSV file structure in case you need that. They're both really simple to use, so let's start with the export. All we need to do is go to the bottom left and tap on the icon there, and then we select our items and hit the share icon. And that's basically it. It'll bring you to your operating system share screen, it zips the CSV files up, and that's all there is to it. That's easy. And importing is just as easy. And actually there's two ways of doing this. You can either open an existing timer or create a new one. I'll create a new one for this example and do a reaction timer, and we can see there are no details here. If we scroll down and tap on this import from CSV button, navigate to where our files live, and choose a relevant one. I know Nightmare is a reaction timer, so I'll tap on that. And we get two options, add to existing or replace data. Add to existing will do just that. It adds all the intervals within the CSV file after anything that's already in your existing timer. And replace data replaces everything. The name, the rest periods, intervals, etc. just replaces everything. It doesn't matter which we choose in this example as we're starting from nothing, so I'll tap replace all data. It then just warns us that this can't be undone. I'll tap yes to do it. Success, letting us know everything was imported correctly, and we can see there it's brought the name and the session length and the rounds and the intervals here. So it's brought everything through, really nice and easy to do. And if we jump out and have a look at the actual timer, we can see everything is in. Very good. And importing an interval timer is just as easy. So again, no details here. We tap on the import from CSV section and let's import the beep test. And let's just do add to existing to be different this time. Okay. And everything's there. The name, the alert style, if there were any rest periods, it would show that here, and then all the intervals, all 247 of them. Thankfully, we don't have to type all those in on the app. I've done something a little wrong here, as the beep test works to hundredths of a second, and that's not shown here, so I need to make sure hundredths is enabled. So let's jump out, and you can see here the time's a little low for the full beep test, so go to settings, enable hundredths, and jump back, and we can see the time's now correct. And if we jump back in and scroll down, we can see, when I get to it, there you can see the hundredths are enabled and the hundredths are there. So everything's there that we needed and looking good. Let's go back, jump out and just do a quick run to show it's working. And this is the beep test, so it should go beep. Very good, and it's all working. So when importing, the only thing you need to make sure of is that the CSV file is formatted properly and you're importing the correct timer type. So if I go to create a new reaction timer and scroll down and try to import, let's try and import the beep test, it comes up with this invalid file warning box, as the beep test is an interval timer, not a reaction timer. Please check that you're importing the correct timer, e.g. interval versus reaction, and then mentions about the free timers or templates available on the pbintervals.app website. If you've got access to this import function, you will have already seen a lot of these come pre-installed, and you can of course create your own, which is the perfect segue to talk about how the CSV file works. And this is particularly good if you're a personal trainer, a physio, a group lead or instructor of some sort, because there's a strong likelihood you've already got some pre-existing plans somewhere. So let's jump into it. I'll switch to Microsoft Excel. You can use anything to do the CSV files, Google Sheets, numbers, whatever your preference is. But here we go. Here is the CSV file. And it's the same CSV file if you're creating an interval timer or a reaction timer, and it's the same for both iOS and Android, so we can share cross-platform. There's no issue there whatsoever. And at first glance it might look a little scary. It isn't. but I get there's a lot of columns going on here, so that can be intimidating at first, but stick with me, trust me, honestly, it's very simple. I'll talk you through it. And there's also a useful cheat sheet PDF available on the website if you need that. Okay, we've got all these columns. I find it easier to expand all the column widths so I can see the column headers, and in Excel I just highlight everything and double tap in between the columns, and that automatically expands them. And rather than using a blank CSV file, it's much easier to do what we're doing here and use one that's already populated and just change the entries. So, okay, right, let's start then, left to right. The first column, we have the name field. Fairly self-explanatory, I hope, what your timer is called. Then we have the timer color. This is the hex code that represents what color you want your icon to be on the home screen. And then next to that, we have the alert column. So single beep, text to speech with time, boxing bell, etc. All the different options are in the cheat sheet on the website. If these are left blank, by the way, it'll just go to the default settings, so don't worry. And then next we have vibration. Again, the different options are in the cheat sheet, but it is basically leave it blank for no vibration, one vibration or four vibrations. And then the next column is whether we want the session to shuffle. Now, for reaction timers, this one's slightly different. This column actually controls the hide call duration toggle. So true will hide the call duration, false will show the call duration. With interval timers, it does exactly what it says. True will make things shuffle, and false will keep them in the order you've listed them. Next, we have some fields that relate only to the reaction timer. So if you're doing an interval timer, these should be left blank. Okay, so imagine we're creating a reaction timer. This is where you state how long you want your rounds or your session to last. And type it in as hour, minute, second. So if you were wanting 15-minute rounds, you would type 00:15:00. If you were wanting an hour session, it would be 01:00:00. The column next to this one is where we state the hundredths of a second. Don't put the hundredths in the left column. We've needed to do it this way. Spreadsheets tend to get easily confused with milliseconds, unfortunately. And what we found in testing is we could make it work for one, but another would interpret things incorrectly. So you'll see throughout the sheet, there's always this extra column for the hundredths of a second to the right-hand side. You don't need to put anything in here if you're not needing that level of accuracy, but it's there if you do. So these two columns are for the session or round length of a reaction timer. The next columns, again, specific to the reaction timer, as you can see by the header name, these are the time fields for the interval duration. Again, the hundredths of a second are split into a second column, so these first two relate to the minimum length of the interval, and if you're randomizing the interval length, you'd put the maximum time here. So for this example, our interval will have a minimum time of 45 seconds and a maximum time of 2 minutes. That's how we state that. Next, we have the rest period between intervals, and this column is for both the interval and reaction timers. And just like the other time fields, it's split into the minutes, seconds, and hundredths to the right. Leave it blank if you don't want any rest period, and add what you need. And again, there's a minimum and maximum values if you're randomizing things. So it looks like a lot of columns, but when it's broken down, you can see it's not that crazy. So far, we've given the timer name, the color, the alert style, chosen if you want it to have vibration. We've said whether we want it to shuffle or hide call duration. Remember, reaction timer, hide call duration, interval timer is a correct heading, shuffle. We've stated the reaction timer session or round length and the interval period as well, and we've set some rest periods. Next, we state how many rounds we're doing. So this will always be at least one, to however many you want. And to the right of that, you can see we have the time fields for the rest periods between rounds. Again, split, so the hundredths is in a different column. And again, we've got both the minimum and maximum values, so if you're randomizing things. If you don't want any rest periods, just ignore these columns. Okay, we've got everything set up. All we need to do now is add our intervals, and that's done here. Call name, that relates to the interval title, what it's going to be called. Next to that is the color you want the screen to be while the interval is running, and again, a hex code, and make sure to include the hashtag symbol before the code. And then the next column relates only to the reaction timer. It's the maximum number of times that interval call will be made throughout your session. And if you're doing a reaction timer, that's the last column you need to worry about. So you're done if you're doing a reaction timer. What I will do is I will just switch to an interval timer CSV file. So we've got some more details there. You can see here we've got some times now dropping in. So these columns here are for the interval duration. And again, they are split into minutes and seconds in one column and hundredths in the next. And you've got the two minimum and maximum columns as well if you're randomizing the times. Next to that, we have a column for halfway alerts. So true or false. True, yes, you will get a halfway alert. False, you won't get a halfway alert. And then finally, and again, this one relates only to interval timers, is any message you want to include in and their time delay. So if you want more than one message, all you need to do is, as it's done here, insert a row underneath and type the message. And you can see here that there are blank cells to the left when there's more than one message, and that's exactly how it should be. Otherwise, it will add the message to the interval at the left-hand side. And that's a CSV file. It might look complicated, but it's really not. Just take it a column at a time and use the cheat sheet if you need to, and you'll be golden. Right. Now, if you're a PT or a physio or someone who creates workout plans for people, there's a good chance you've got lots of programs sitting in some spreadsheet files already. So to give you a real world example of how this is used, here's a spreadsheet used to create cycling sessions. This one allows me to create workouts targeted at different fitness levels, gives me details around power zones, estimated stress scores, watt balances, etc. All lovely geeky stuff. And I build these programs in a spreadsheet so I know I'm setting the right levels for particular classes and training scenarios. Building sessions like this in a timer app might work, but I wouldn't be getting all this, what I see is crucial data to make sure things are at the right intensity. So I need a way of taking this session into something like the timer app, so it allows me to make the calls at the right time. And how I've done that is create a different sheet that references all these cells that I need. And for the app, if I jump back to the PB interval CSV file, I need the interval name, the time, and perhaps a color I want the screen to be. So what I've done, just jumping back to my spreadsheet, is I've created this separate sheet that references the name, the time, and the generated hex code depending on the intensity of that particular call. Full on geeky. And so I've done that, and I've spaced these columns so I can simply copy the whole of this information and paste it directly into the CSV file. So I select everything, copy with Command C as I'm on the Mac, and then jump to the PB interval CSV file, select the uppermost cell of the call names, and paste special. Command Control V, select the values, and boom, all those details are pulled in. But you can see it's not quite right actually, and it's something weird has happened with the numbers, and that's a good thing it's happened on this demo, as all it is a cell formatting issue. And in Excel, all I need to do is come here and select time, and now I can actually say a proper boom, everything's ready to roll. So instead of needing to add, how many entries? 98 entries into the app directly, I do that. And I can share this timer with other people who have the full version of the app. So for you, that might be your clients, family, friends, patients, depending on what you're creating, could be anyone. For those of you who are building larger programs, this makes it so much more simple to create and share exercise plans. Take a look at the cheat sheet available on the pbintervals.app website and you'll be good to go. And I don't think there's any much more I can say. So get out there, smash some PBs, stay awesome.